Today's Read Aloud Story is an adaptation of The Ugly Duckling, based on the literary fairy tale by Danish poet and author Hans Christian Andersen. Let's start reading. The Ugly Duckling. Once upon a time, in a quiet little pond in the middle of vast meadow, a family of ducks lived happily. Every day, the mother duck would go out for food, while the father duck stayed back to watch over their eggs. One day, after a few weeks, the egg hatched, and out came 4 lovely ducklings. 3 of them were fluffy and yellow, just like their parents, but the 4th one looked quite different. As they grew up, his siblings teased him for being ugly. Look at him. He's so big and gray, and his beak is all wrong. He's nothing like us, said the first duckling. Yeah, he's Ugly Duckling, said the second duckling. The third duckling just shook his head and said, I wish he was more like us. The mother duck tried to stop her other children from teasing their sibling, but they didn't listen. They kept calling him names, and the poor ugly duckling felt terrible. The poor duckling didn't know why he looked different. Every time he tried to join in the games or follow his siblings, he was always left out. As the day passed, the little duckling started to feel more and more alone. He watched his siblings with their soft and fluffy feathers, and he knew that he was different from them. He wondered why he couldn't be like them. One day, the ugly duckling couldn't take it anymore. He decided to run away from home and find a place where he belonged. He wandered through the countryside, feeling lost and alone. As he walked, he encountered all kinds of birds and animals. Some of them laughed at him and made fun of his appearance, but others were kind to him. He met a group of chickens, but they told him he didn't belong there. He also met some cows, who said he was too small to be a cow. Feeling more lost and confused than ever before, the ugly duckling continued his journey until he saw a flock of geese flying overhead. They were different from any birds he had ever seen before. They looked so beautiful and free, and he wished he could fly like them. Suddenly, one of the geese noticed him and flew down to talk to him. Hey there, little duckling. What are you doing all alone? Asked the goose. I'm running away. My family thinks I'm ugly and they don't want me, said the duckling. Well, I think you're lovely. Come with us, and we'll show you the world, said the goose. The ugly duckling was surprised but happy. He had never met anyone who liked him before. He followed the geese, and they flew over forests, mountains, and oceans. They saw places the duckling had never seen imagined before, and he felt free and happy. But as the winter approached, the geese told him they had to leave for a warmer climate. They asked him to come with them, but the duckling didn't want to go. He was afraid he would be laughed at by the other animals for being different. I'm sorry. I can't come with you. I need to find my own way, said the duckling. Suit yourself, little duckling, but remember, you're not alone, You're unique, and that's what makes you special," said the goose before flying away. The ugly duckling was sad to see them go, but he knew he had to find his own place in the world. The ugly duckling continued his journey until he stumbled upon a farm. He noticed a girl feeding the chickens and decided to approach her. "Excuse me, ma'am," said the ugly duckling. "Do you think I could stay here for a while? I have nowhere else to go." The girl looked at him skeptically. "What kind of bird are you?" she asked. "I'm not sure," replied the ugly duckling. I was born a duckling, but I don't look like the other ducks, and they didn't accept me." The girl felt sorry for the ugly duckling and decided to give him a chance. "All right, you can stay here," she said. "But you have to earn your keep. You can help me take care of the animals on the farm." The ugly duckling was grateful for the girl's kindness and immediately got to work. He helped the girl feed the chickens, milked the cows, and gathered the eggs. The other animals on the farm didn't know what to make of the ugly duckling at first, but over time they began to accept him and even befriend him. One day, as the ugly duckling was walking around the barnyard, he saw a group of animals gather around a small pond. As he got closer, he saw that they were all ducks, just like him. "Hello," said the ugly duckling. "I'm a duck too. Can I join you?" The ducks looked at him, and one of them spoke up. "You're not a duck," she said. "You're too big and ugly. You don't belong with us." The ugly duckling felt hurt and rejected once again. He didn't understand why the other ducks couldn't accept him for who he was. The girl noticed the ugly duckling's sadness and went to talk to him. "Don't worry about what they say," she said. "You're welcome here, and you have a home with me and the other animals." The ugly duckling was grateful for the girl's kind words. He realized that he had found a place where he belonged, and he was happy to call it his home. As time passed, the ugly duckling continued to help the girl on the farm. He had made new friends with the other animals, but he still felt like he didn't belong. He longed to find his true identity and be accepted for who he was. One day, Ugly Duckling looked at his reflection in the pond and saw that he had changed. His feathers had grown, and his body had become more slender. He realized that he was no longer an ugly duckling, but a beautiful swan. The other animals on the farm were amazed by the ugly duckling's transformation. The cows mooed in admiration, and pigs grunted in awe, and the chickens clucked in excitement. The ugly duckling was thrilled to have finally discovered his true identity. He spread his wings and flew into the sky, feeling free and alive. As he flew over the farm, he saw the ducks in the pond below. He decided to visit them and see if they would accept him, now that he's a swan. "Hello, it's me, the ugly duckling," he said as he landed in the pond. The ducks looked at him in surprise. "You're not a duck," exclaimed one of them. "I know," said the ugly duckling. "I've changed. I'm a swan now." The ducks were speechless. They had never seen a swan before, and they didn't know what to make of him. But then one of them spoke up. "You may not be a duck, but you're still one of us," she said. "We may look different, but we're all birds, and we should stick together." The ugly duckling was overwhelmed with gratitude. He had finally found acceptance from the ducks, and he felt like he had a place in the world. He continued to visit the ducks in the pond, but he also spent time with his friends on the farm. He realized that he didn't have to choose between his old life and his new one. He could have both and be happy. As the winter approached, the wild ducks flew south, and the ugly duckling knew that it was time to return home. He wanted to show his family who he had become. As he flew over, the ducks looked up and saw him. They were amazed by the beautiful swan flying above them. The ugly duckling was happy to be back home. His siblings learned a valuable lesson that day. They learned that the true beauty comes from within and that everyone deserves to be loved and accepted for who they are. The ugly duckling had taught them that even though they may look different, they were all the same on the inside. And so, the ugly duckling lived happily ever after, surrounded by his friends and the loved ones. He had found his place in the world, and he was accepted for who he was, not for what he looked like. The end.